Hey everybody, I hope you're having a good day. I just wanted to take a quick second to send this message out before the video starts. Thank you so much to my community members and Patreon supporters for allowing me to become the best coach that I can be, and thank you so much for supporting me along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoyed it. Hey guys, Mitsuo here. Today's video is going to be a pretty special one. I'm excited to share it with you guys. We're going to be talking about everything I do in my training, which is a pretty common question that I get from my students. What exactly do high-level players work on? What exactly am I missing in my training? Is training certain tasks and certain techniques even the correct thing to do at my level? I get these questions a lot. So today I just thought I'd share what I do, and I kind of assembled every drill and every technique I've trained over the years in my, thousands of hours of free play. And I kind of assembled it all into one big routine, and yeah, I thought I'd share that with you today, so let's get started. So using the Bacchus mod RL training timer, and for this first drill, I call it supersonic laps. This is something that helped me at a lower rank when I didn't understand or at least know how to feel comfortable driving at supersonic speed. And I'm just going to do a few laps here, traveling around the outside boosts and really focusing on this power slide motion into boosting afterwards, just to remain supersonic through these little bit of 90-degree turns. And I'm going to do this for 1 minute in a counterclockwise fashion, and then we'll do it in the other direction. So here we are. Just spin around. And just get used to the feel of conserving your boost when you're already supersonic, and spending a little when you lose it. And it's actually more efficient to spend some boost when you're already at a high rate of speed to get supersonic speed back, rather than flipping or jumping and wave dashing or something like that. It would actually be more beneficial in your rank games to consume some boost to collect more boost. And that's what the first few drills are going to be designed to do. So I'll just do this for another 10 seconds or so. And again, I'm holding my throttle the whole time because it's very efficient and it keeps your speed at a constant rate. Okay, so now we're going to do some speed flip training. And not necessarily to hit a specific target or even execute perfect speed flips, but we're just going to go in the same laps, kind of like we just were with the supersonic training, but we're going to be adding a flip. Because sometimes you do get bumped, or after a fall from a recovery, you actually don't have a lot of momentum. And learning how to get a power slide and a good flip for a burst of speed is going to be useful sometimes. So right now we're doing my weakest speed flips, which are the left. I'm not very, I wouldn't say I'm anywhere close to consistent with the left speed flips as I am with the right. But I do both in my games every single time I play, and I train them every single time I play. And this will really get you warmed up with your joystick movement, right? And power slide combinations. And I'm going in a counterclockwise fashion here. And really, the key is to flip when you lose that supersonic momentum. Kind of enabling us to get back to supersonic when maybe our car is not moving fast, or maybe we just got bumped across the field. You never know. You always want to train for the worst as well as the best case scenarios. Alright, so we're just gonna turn around here. This is easily the speed flip I'm more comfortable with. And we're not trying to get as many speed flips in as possible. We're really focusing on speed here. And flipping is just one of the many ways in Rocket League that you can gain a good burst of speed. So it's worth warming up, getting that muscle memory down. And it's all about timing, right? If your speed flips are timed even 100 milliseconds faster than other players, even though that's not a tangible or a consistent goal that you can do 100% of the time, it is worth trying to get quicker and understand how to perform better flips. Alright, so training drill number 5 here is just kickoff speed flips. And I'm really, again, just focused on speed here rather than accuracy on the ball, right? Getting our fingers nice and loose. And I would practice both sides here. So flipping to the left, right? Flipping to the right. Just getting all these flips in a very quick amount of time. And this is going to commit it to muscle memory. And if you do this every day, you can see how your flips will become faster and more accurate over time. But speed is probably the key before accuracy. Alright, so drill number 6 here is boost collecting on the lanes. And what I mean by the lanes are just these small pads here. They kind of are marked by a blue or an orange lane on this map. And what I like to do is make sure that I'm looking at the ball more than I'm looking at my car or the boosts. And driving around like this forces me to not only adapt what I'm looking at on the field, multitask a little more efficiently, and just be an overall more aware player of where these boost pads actually are located, right? Relative to different positions. And I'm just moving counterclockwise right now. And we'll switch it up here. And we'll go clockwise. Keeping ball cam on will force you to learn the more difficult way of doing this, which would be to not look at the floor and not look near your car, but look out in the distance. And just kind of understand where these pads are located with your peripheral vision. You can even throw the ball around like this. It's up to you. It's going to make it a little more complex. And just pick up more pads, right? Because the balls should be moving in a rink game, right? So follow these lanes, recover down these lanes. I commonly am driving through these lanes of pads in my rank games. And it just makes me a better defender, a more aware player, and a better teammate. Alright, so now we're going to train perimeter boost pads, which are these pads in front of the net. This is a drill It really helped me when I was grinding 1v1s and really just trying to become a more fluid player with my car's movement. And looking at the ball and picking up boost and reading opponents is the most fluid you could be. Right, so make sure the ball's on one side of the map like this. And I'm really just feeling these out. And I am missing the pads quite often. I made sure this routine was something you guys could feasibly do and not put your skills to the to the test of perfection. But if you want to, you can make this harder by turning off your unlimited boost and making sure you actually drive over these pads. And this is much harder. It's going to force you to power slide more efficiently and stay on the perimeter, right? It kind of looks like a basketball perimeter to me, these pads, so that's why I call it that. Yeah, we'll just do this for another 20 seconds or so. And keeping the ball on one side of the field forces you to memorize these spawns even better, because I can't really see these spawns if the ball is toward the corners or toward the edge of the map. Okay, so next drill I like to do is 180 power slides. So we're gonna go to the left, put ball cam on, and power slide through this boost and do a flip and just keep repeating this motion over and over. It's kind of like the same drill we just did, except it forces you to tap your power slide button, which a lot of people make mistakes on in their ranked games, where they hold their power slide button and they lose a lot of traction and a lot of momentum, right? So get a nice flip in. You know, this doesn't have to be the fastest drill in the world. You're not going for like a world record speed, but the key here is on this turn, we don't want to lose too much momentum. And I forgot to turn on unlimited boost again, because these boosts are spawning a little late, but we'll just do that now. And now I'm using sort of a power slide, turn to the right, tap, 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 right? And you gotta find the ratio of taps that really get your car turning quickly, but also not losing a lot of momentum, right? And that's why I throw a flip in at the end, because this is a big turn, and the ball should not be near us in a game situation where we need to turn like this and sort of cover a zone on, say, the left side of the ball here, right? So just work on that power slide motion. Get a feel for driving towards your screen, which is going to feel a little uncomfortable for some newer players or players that haven't really trained shadow defense. But yeah, that's the 180 power slides. Let's do bounce dribbles. So I'm going to be bouncing the ball up in a counterclockwise circle, kind of like this. And what you really want to focus on here is nudging the ball with the side of your car and a power slide to seriously like promote outplays, which bounce dribbles are great for. If you watch players like Flakes or O'Khalid and Moxie, they're very good at bounce dribbles and just popping the ball up like this in a circle. Obviously, they're probably doing it about in a half circle in real games, and then they're going to attack the net or attack an open spot on the field. But this should just train repetition with touching the ball with a power slide. Okay, let's go to the right here. and really meet the ball on its opposite side of its momentum, right? So I'm coming over here on the left side of the ball and hitting it with the right front of my car. And what that does is it gets a nice pop, like a bounce dribble start. Okay, we got 30 seconds left. Let's try to do one bounce only. So there's one bounce, and we miss, so that's fine. Let's restart. Get nice and soft touches. One bounce, soft touches. And it's up to you to control the pace and how quickly you want to attack each bounce. If you can't do one bounce at a time, wait for it to bounce twice like this and get a pop. Once, twice, and pop. Okay, so next drill is shadow defense. Right to left. This is the side that I'm not very strong on, so I like to train that initially because it really helps kind of ingrain this motivation, this training motivation in my head. Like I got to accomplish something that I was actually doing horrible the other day. And the whole aim is just to get better every day you play. And if you can, you want to try and control these touches sort of like that. And the way I'm doing that is getting a soft touch on the wheel of my car. It's a hard motion if you're not used to it. But just take your time and try to get that wheel touch. If you can't do a hard shot like that, just go back to the beginning. And really train your shadow defense. Soft touch. And recovery. The recovery seems to be the hardest part for me on this side. That's why I do this drill for about double the time that I do any other drill so far. Soft touch and a controlled play. And this will be really good play in a ranked game where you can shut down an entire offense in one stroke and then get a nice counterattack. Let's try one more. Didn't end up getting it, but now we're gonna go left to right. And this side I feel a little more comfortable on. But try and get soft touches on the wheels. Like that. And a recovery at the same time. And really control the ball. I think I see a lot of like SSLs and pro players control even their defensive touches, right? So stuff like this. Before they even jump, they know exactly what counterattack they want to pull off. This one's hard on the outside of the map here, or host rather. But if you can, let's try to get a soft touch towards the corner. Sorry if my controller disconnects. Here we are, we can follow this up. And I think getting above these balls like that is much better. Knocking it down into a controlled play, right? If you're not able to touch the middle of the ball, you're most likely going to redirect it way too hard, right? Sorry about my controller again. Gotta get a new one. And I'm not really succeeding too much here, which means I got a lot to work on, right? So sorry about that, guys. My entire game crashed. But I just decided to start over this shadow defense drill. And we'll move on to the next drill here in a couple seconds. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Game was having issues loading the workshop map. So this is aim training by Coco. This is probably my favorite drill ever to train in Rocket League. When I unlocked the ability to do this drill, it truly improved me as a player by what seemed like 10,000%. So enabling some mods over here will make the targets smaller to aim at, or bigger, and will put you at different distances from the backboard. If you have those mods off, you will be touching the ball at the very center of the map, so it's going to be the same distance to the backboard every time. So I like to go into normal here and really shoot the ball with immense amount of power at the green target. And power being the more effective way to start this training. Because if you train accuracy without power, you're gonna get some very weak shots, something like that. So I would focus on working on flipping through the center of the ball. You don't need to hit the target just yet if you don't want to. I do this drill for at least 10 minutes. And if you have Bacchus mod, there's a ball speed plugin that I suggest you guys turn on. See if we can put that up here. Because in real game situations, you're gonna want to hit this ball as hard as you can sometimes. It's probably the best way to capitalize on opponents not covering their nets. And it's definitely, like I said, better to train power before accuracy. And on this drill, when I was first learning it, I couldn't hit the ball above 80 kph. It just seemed really impossible. But if you work on your timing and catch the ball right after its bounce and flip through the center of mass, you can see that there's times where I get well above 100 and even 110 to 120 kilometers an hour, right? So do your best to maybe try to set a high score, but work on your power. Power is super important in Rocket League. I think it's absolutely the most underrated skill. Is just slamming the ball with intent and getting pure contact. It just feels much different than when you slightly miss, where you get that touch where the ball hasn't quite bounced back up from the floor yet. So I'll try to do that here, where you cut the ball like this and it just doesn't get the same effect. And we're really trying to use diagonal dodges here to use the corners of our car, and that's going to give us more control when we are shooting, right? So if I need to shoot bottom left here, I need to jump kind of toward the middle of the ball and get on the right side of the ball. So here I'd get on the left side because I'm shooting over to the right, and I just use a right diagonal dodge, sort of like that, to aim the ball better. And if you want to shoot low like I just did there, or like this, you're going to want to get up higher on the ball sooner. So if you are to wait for the ball to bounce, you will get underneath it. And if you jump kind of as the ball's bouncing or right before, you should get a lower contact by hitting on the top side of the ball. And it doesn't matter if you're shooting high or low or left or right. In Rocket League, you can use the same flip over and over, this diagonal dodge. to achieve a really powerful touch. And that's what I trained nearly every day for months and months and months. I did aim training, and it essentially became my favorite thing to do, is to see how hard I could hit the ball. And I love situations like this in my ranked games because I usually end up capitalizing on a lot of people's mistakes. Being able to just accurately slam the ball is just so hard to defend. And if you guys didn't know, in Rocket League, supersonic speed is only around 82, 83 kilometers an hour. So you can imagine if an opponent was out of position and I'm striking the ball this hard, it's going to be nearly impossible to jump up and save it, right? They would have to be much further away from my strike or already in their net. And there's ways to play around that too. So if opponents are in their net, right, and you have a big clear like this, maybe you don't want to shoot at the net. Maybe you want to pass to a teammate, something like that. I kind of use that green sign over there as a teammate. Kind of looks like a teammate to me, I don't know. So use power and aim the ball with diagonal dodges, and you're really going to open up like a huge part of your skill that you never probably thought you could obtain. It's just probably again, my favorite drill to train. It's my favorite skill to perform in a game. I'm not very mechanical, but I do train a lot of mechanics. So my favorite shot has always been just the really, really powerful ground touch like this. This is my favorite shot in the whole game. And I think that really helped me aspire to be great at these, right? This workshop map and just the motivation to like hit the ball harder, right? Like I used to be a pitcher in baseball, and trying to increase your ball speed is one of the primary parts of a fastball in baseball, and I just really enjoy challenges like that where I'm pushing myself. So we got about 2 minutes left here. And pass high and to the left like that, or pass way over to the right. And we are getting the ball at the center of the field, or at least down the goal, the imaginary line that like connects the two goals. That's where we're getting this ball. So we have a plethora of like choices to make, right? Passing up to a teammate like that, or even just taking the hard shot, right? At over 100 kilometers an hour. These are just great options in your ranked games. Truly underrated. They got too low on that ball, so let me try to aim that again. I got actually too middle. There we go. 112. Let's try this one again. This one looks fun. Diagonal dodge. Trying to hit basically the middle of the ball, but on the left side. That was poorly timed. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Oh, nearly got it. It's really challenging me. Ooh, near miss again. And that looks like it. And I'm speed flipping through some of these. It might look like I'm just side flipping, but that actually doesn't cause you to get a lot of power. It in some cases you'll just graze across the ball. I exaggerated it there, but you'll sort of miss the center of the ball. You want to come at this like through the ball's center of mass and just draw a line from the ball to the green dot on the wall. Alright, looks like we got about 1 or 2 more here. And my fingers are nice and warmed up now. This is my favorite drill ever. Alright, so just got a couple minutes here for us to take a break. Maybe just think about our performance there on the aim training map. Like, I felt like my power was really consistent. Aim could always be better. But I got the ball in the vicinity that I wanted nearly every time. And if I didn't, and if I missed the ball and I didn't get a lot of power, I would just backtrack, kind of focus on that. So always start with power and then accuracy. And we could probably turn this off. And make sure you guys drink some water. Stretch your hands, your arms. Maybe get out of your chair and just do a bunch of stretches. That way you're not so stiff and, blaming your cramped hands on why you can't play Rocket League. I don't know if anyone's ever done that, but if my hand's cramped, I probably wouldn't want to play. So this is why I stretch. Every hour that I'm at my computer, I usually get up and stretch and get a bottle of water or something to drink. So that's why I added it here. I think it's pretty important. Okay, just stretching my arms now and my back. I always feel better after I stretch. I'm pretty sure that's the whole point of stretching, but being stiff is not good for competitive performance, so. Alright. So after we stretch, after we hydrate, we'll move on to the next drill. Okay, dribble warm-up. I use Lethamir's dribble challenge here to make sure I'm controlling the pace of my dribbles, and the key word there is controlling, right? So do yourself a favor and take your time when you learn how to dribble. This is not a race. And you want to match the ball's speed, right, to this, or your car's speed rather, to the ball speed. And this drill is just obviously going to teach you that. It's very, very good for catching the ball on the right part of your car. You know, these turns are a bit exaggerated, but you get the point. You're supposed to go the same speed as the ball, right? And if you fail, it's okay. We're going to fail before we ever become consistent, right? So just keep that in mind. Use the white circle. Car cam should be on, not ball cam, obviously. And again, I'm taking my time here. If I were to speed things up, even without these big walls here, just in a normal, like, Rocket League match, you lose control. And that's not what we want with a ground dribble. If anything, we want to be identical to the ball's speed. And just changing its position on the car, adding power slides, stuff like that, is going to really enable us to dribble better. And if you're having trouble with this, I recommend just doing the first level over and over. Because really, the goal here isn't to get through the dribble challenge as fast as possible. It should just be to feel comfortable with the ball on your car. If you want, you can add like a jump like that. might mess you up, but it's going to add a variety, right, to your training. And training stuff that's difficult is always better, I think, rather than training something that you can already do, right? We're trying to test our limits and reach new heights. Alright, so now that we've got the ball on our car relatively easily, right? We're just going to flick the ball at the net. Right, and accuracy is important, obviously, when you're flicking the ball. But ball speed is something that I want you guys to work on here. So with a nice controlled dribble, and we're flicking to the left with my car. So if I train my angled flicks, I'm very bad to the left like this. So this is why I train this first. Right, make sure the ball is on top of your car. Pretty decent launch, but need to get this ball more to the front left of my car. That way I can start a nice flick. If you want, you can flick diagonally forward. You don't have to do it backwards. This is a much simpler version of a 45-degree flick. I think it's a little better because it's not as fancy. It doesn't sacrifice recovery. Right? But you won't get over 100 kph usually with this flick. But yeah, just flicking left is something I struggle with here, so I'm just training these motions. Alright, launching the ball. Using a left turn into a diagonal dodge. There's one. Got the best one for last. 109 kph. Pretty good. Alright, so now we'll train some right flicks. These ones I'm a little more comfortable with. But still, we gotta focus on good dribbles. Take your time, get close, and then launch the flick. If you try to launch from half court every time, or half field, sorry, opponents have more time to get back and deflect the shot. So, kind of work your way towards their net and launch a flick. Delayed flicks are even better for winning 1v1 situations, just like this, where I'm hesitating on the flick and then launching it later. You can do this with the forward one as well. It's not going to get the best power unless you angle it on your car just right. But I think this drill really dedicates timing, and people come to me with a lot of questions about flicks, and I think it's about timing. So match the ball's speed just like this, and let go of a delayed flick. If you can match the ball's speed and carry it toward the front, you're probably going to get a more direct shot right in front of you. If you balance it toward the middle, you're going to get a higher flick. There we go, 116. Didn't really make that, but that was probably the best flick so far. Got one more in me. There we go. 109 again, so good flick training there. Alright, the next drill is ball orbiting or ball circling. I don't know what you call this. But we're going to use no air roll because this is really good training for redirects, for just getting your car's nose to be aligned with your takeoff, right? So whenever I jump up in Rocket League, I'm not always holding the directional air roll. In fact, When I teach my students, like, it's one of the biggest bad habits I see. There is some dedicated air roll training coming up, but for now, let's just keep our car as aligned with the ceiling as possible while we orbit. And we're only using the joystick. No air roll, no dedicated air roll. And if this drill is too easy for you, you can try and correct yourself. This drill's kind of difficult though, so good job if it's nice and easy for you. But yep, we're just gonna keep boosting around the ball. Ball cam is on the whole time. You can hold your boost or feather it. This is just good training, like very, very good training. Sometimes we need height, right? So we're gonna hold our boost. But sometimes we need to cushion the blow on a redirect or a pass or just a nice shot in midair. And feathering the boost really helps with cushioning that that blow or that touch. Okay, so we got a couple seconds here. And we're just gonna go the other way. I think I did this backwards. That's funny. But I don't really see one of these directions being much worse than the other for me. Maybe this one is. But I just labeled counterclockwise and clockwise rotations. And this is just, again, training, correcting the tip of your car. Or I call it the nose of the car, or the front, or whatever you want to call it. And feathering boost simultaneously. And going around the ball. Alright, and if you fail, you fail. Like, just start again. Training's all about enforcing good habits, or reinforcing good habits, and getting rid of bad habits, right? So, one of the bad habits I see a lot of people have in Rocket League is they get frustrated because they just can't do something the first time, which seems a little unrealistic. So just take your time. If you fail, you fail. You can dedicate as much time to this as you want. And I'm already feeling extremely warmed up, like in my hands. Not necessarily controlling my car perfectly, but I just have a mental like flow going right now. Like the vibe is good inside my head right now and in my fingertips. So just keep working at this stuff. And it might seem counterintuitive, like, well, when do you ever fly around the ball like this and aim, and why don't I just train a million flip resets? Well, I promise that in-game you do this motion a lot. Okay, so dedicated air roll. I'm an air roll right kind of player, so I only use air roll right. I don't know of any person who can control or hold dedicated air roll on both left and right. If you can, good for you. I've not seen a reason competitively to train both. One is plenty. So holding dedicated air roll, all this does is roll around the car's, I think it's the y-axis, but it's basically a line drawn straight through the grille or the front of your car all the way toward your boost. And what the air roll does, or dedicated air roll, is it trains independent roll function, like from your stick movements. And that might sound complex, but I'll just try to explain it. Rolling like this actually doesn't change your car's angle if you're thinking of the front or the nose of your car as its angle that it's pointing at, right? We usually fly or shoot the ball with the front of the car. It's kind of pointing at the ceiling this entire time. And that's because I'm barely adding any joystick movements kind of like the previous drill without the dedicated air roll, which is why I put that one first, because it gets you nice and warmed up. Your boost feathering is probably looking pretty good right now. Mine's okay. Could always be better at this. But yeah, making sure you use dedicated air roll without too much stick movement is the most efficient way to use dedicated air roll. And some people come to me and say that dedicated air roll should always be held down. Dedicated air roll should be the only thing you touch while you're in the air, and I have found that in my experience, it is only a good idea if you need to rotate along this axis, right? So it doesn't actually do much, like I said, without joystick movement. It should just look something like this. And you should be able to point in the same direction for an infinite amount of time. If you have unlimited boost, you can do this drill, and you should be able to stay in the air, just like the drill we did without dedicated air roll. Because our boost is always pointing down, or mostly down, right? So this really gets your fingers nice and used to that movement. Making sure you're not holding the joystick. If I held the joystick like that, you see how my nose changes direction a lot, and it's very hard to control. But if you make very tiny adjustments, your boost should mostly point to the floor, and your nose should mostly point toward the opposite direction, right? The ceiling. Okay. Made a couple mistakes here, but really I think we're doing well. Feathering the boost is looking good. Pointing at the ball the whole time, looking pretty good. Ball or the ceiling, or the combination of the two, is what we want to do. Alright, so now we're going to move on to a drill that I don't really know what to call, but essentially I like to fly around the field and practice my aerial dodges. So do you guys train this? I'm not really sure, but when I learned that this was a thing to start training, it kind of blew my mind. Like the fact that I never understood that you could use a dodge in midair to like correct movement, right? So make sure you're going around the field and landing back on the wall with different kinds of flips too. Like I've learned that this right flip here isn't the only flip that you can do. I think you can like backflip. I try that sometimes, or half flip rather, sorry. I'm not sure what a backflip would look like. And yeah, I just try to like cling to the wall. It almost reminds me of like a grappling hook, like a Metroid or something, where I imagine like a line that I'm drawing from my car or my character to the point on the wall that I want to hook to or aim at. And yeah, it just really helps me. You can train a front flip, use dedicated air roll, and recover back on the wall. You know, you could do all kinds of stuff here. But really warming up flips off of walls and in midair is huge in Rocket League. You're going to be doing this movement or motion a lot in your ranked games. And remaining nice and fast and controlling these flips with flip cancels is probably the best beginner method that I've found for this type of training. Okay, let's try a half flip here. There we go. Really funky movements can really open your eyes in Rocket League. Like, I never thought that this drill would even be something that was possible and done in a competitive way, like in our ranked games. So making sure you're timing these dodges air rolling correctly, canceling if you need to. And different kinds of flips will do different kinds of things, right? So here, if I half flip, my nose, I can control my nose in my car, like, with the flip cancel, right? Or if I just front flip, I might invert my car with a flip cancel. I haven't really used power slide much here because you should be recovering on your four wheels with a lot of movement forward already, but you are welcome to like tap your power slide if you need to get that traction. Yeah, got 30 seconds left here, and yeah, I highly recommend this drill. It's something that I never would have thought of if I didn't see a video one day. It was Kev Pert's dodge control training, and I started noticing pro players flipping midair and controlling every single flip. It was like a miracle. I couldn't believe it. Alright, so same principle with this drill. I call this hit the target. Kind of reminds me of the Metroid thing again, or like a Super Smash Brothers, where you're gonna pop the ball off the wall and just pre-flip toward it. And you want to start hitting this target. And these are the same flips that we just trained rotating on the walls. And really get some distance here. Like this. And try a pre-flip. I think my controller DC'd there. Let's try it one more time. Pre-flip at the ball and hit the target. And you can even work on shots this way. Right? And try and get some distance like this. This is a really good one to try and hit the target, because it's going to force us to do something really irregular and difficult. Okay, let's try it the other direction now. Pop the ball up, I'm going to wait, and then pre-flip. Oh, controller disconnected. One more time. Pre-flip. Lost my flip. This teaches you good air roll too. Hit the target. Hit the target there. Let's do a few more. Hit the target. I'm gonna try a right speed flip here. And I kind of released the cancel there because I wanted to get a softer blow, but you should be able to use any diagonal flip to reach any one of these balls, just like we were doing on the walls when we were going in circles. Alright, so this next drill is fast aerials. You guys should be familiar with this, but very minute differences between pro players and let's say like champion players with their fast aerials, and those differences can mean the world. So all we're focusing on here is holding boost, holding our jump for the first, I think it's like a quarter of a second. If you hold your first jump for a quarter of a second, you should be able to get the maximum height. And each of these shots are like harder and harder. And your dodge dead zone obviously plays a huge part in this. Dodge dead zone, if it's larger, it's going to be easier to fast aerial because you're never going to make a mistake like this too often. I think I said never and too often, but you get what I mean. Okay, and then shot 4 is literally the hardest one, I think. This is really gonna test how perfect you are. And it is possible to get this, it's just extremely difficult. I'm probably leaning too far back. Excuse me. Or I wasn't holding my jump long enough. Okay, so here we're going to work on some aerial redirects. Right, and these are similar to our flying circles around the ball kind of movements, right? Where we're mostly keeping our nose in one position, but then we're making very slight stick adjustments to shoot the ball in a different location, right? So, see if we can push this to the right. We can mirror the shot, right? I'm a little better on this side. Alright. And redirects are obviously a very common and great tactic to pull out in a game. It's very fast, and it changes the direction of the ball, which is the best part. The defense does not like when the ball can be changed, or the ball's direction, sorry, can't be changed. Okay, so don't exaggerate your movement like this. Very small stick adjustments should be the key here. Nice shot there. Really good one. Let's try that again. A little softer and higher. And try to aim for the correct part of the ball. Since the ball is on our left here, we need to start shooting the ball and touching it on its left. It's moving left to right, so we want to shoot to the right. And just try to find that target. And remember, we're feathering the boost here a lot of the time. Just like we were doing when we went in circles around the ball. Okay, so that was aerial redirects. We got another stretch and hydrate moment. Thank God, too, because my hands were starting to get a little sweaty and cramped up. So let's do another big stretch here. And we can talk about some of those drills, right? So we did dribbles and flicks, which our flicks weren't looking the best today, but we were controlling dribbles, which is the first step, right? Getting good setups for your shots or your passes or your touches is the most important part. And then executing the correct touch is way easier with a great setup. So on our aerial redirects that we just trained, we weren't holding our joystick in a certain direction, causing us to be very inaccurate. We were just floating and feathering our boost. And it really helps to do that fast aerial training right before, because I feel incredibly fast right now getting up to the sky. And maybe I'm not the best, but that's what I'm going to work on. I think in the next coming days I'm going to really get better at my fast aerials and see if I can push myself to be very consistent on that one shot. Okay, so we did dribbles, flicks, aerial redirects, fast aerial training, right? And stretching here. Oh, and then we, the most important, I think, in that section was circling around the ball, especially without dedicated air roll. I think this training is super useful, especially at the highest levels, because being accurate with this kind of car movement in midair is just a phenomenal skill, especially with those redirects, like I was saying. And then dedicated air roll, we're just learning how to keep that axis, that up and down axis right now, just nice and default, like it's not moving a bunch. If I start adding joystick movements, it starts moving a lot, and that's going to be hard to control. So let's finish our stretches here. Stretching's so important. And we'll get on with the rest of the routine. Got some fun drills coming up, so I'm excited. Okay, ground to air dribbles using the bounce. This is something that comes up probably 5 to 10 times a game in my rank games, maybe even more. And I think it's just such a useful skill to develop into your training routine, right? So make sure you're sending a balls at you with a bounce and time that bounce, just like we were doing with power slides earlier, sort of like this, where we nudged the ball. And now we're gonna just follow it with an air dribble, right? Feathering our boost up here, and then we get a good shot. Let's try that again. Off the bounce, get high up, feather the boost until we can push the ball in. Use the bounce here. This is a better takeoff. You can go into a flip reset if you want, go into a double tap. But we're just training that bounce touch. I think it's, again, something that comes up in my games nearly 20 times a game. Ball comes right at me with a big bounce, and I need to know how to control it. And I'm just using light throttle here. I'm really not boosting through this touch. If I were to boost like this, the ball would go behind me, and I'd be way out in front of it. So let's do a couple more minutes here. Really good takeoff there. Good takeoff, but we can control it in the air a little better. So big pop like that. Go for a double tap. Good shot, really good shot. Okay, let's pop it up in the middle again. And you can let it bounce a couple times if you need to. Maybe there's a teammate over on the left side. And if we can get the ball up like this towards a teammate with a bounce to air dribble, it's going to be a really strong attack because the opponents won't know if you're going for the solo play, right? Which this is a strong solo play opportunity, or a passing play, right? So passing it off to the side and just getting out of the way with your recoveries. Very, very useful. Okay, let's send this one toward the side wall. And we'll maybe control it. Let's try that again. Got about 10 seconds left, so bounce this one up and really control this air dribble. There we go. So a really good bounce training. Okay, we got some more ground to air dribbles, but this time on Bacchus mod, use the roll function. Right, so soft touch. Soft touch is super key here. And this is probably the one air dribble that I am the worst at. But it's worth training. There we go. Getting under that ball. Softer the touch, the higher the ball will go. So I'm really not moving. But if I'm moving fast, the ball's going to go way too far away from me. Okay. Control the ball, maybe go top right. It's a good shot. Moving a little faster here, so gotta catch up to this one. And let's take our time on this last one. There we go. Nice elevated attack. Opponents are unsure whether you're going to carry the ball even higher because you have the ability to use boost or not. Or you might drop the ball nice and low. Take a 50-50 like this. Alright, so just a good tactic to get a soft bounce up like this and launch our ball. And it's using the fast aerial, which, you know, we have only used fast aerials since training it in this training routine. And it's really getting my fingers warmed up. Let's try a nice soft one here. A little better on the takeoff. Okay, so now we can work on dribbles to air dribbles, which are going to just be nice and soft and double jumped up to the opponent's crossbar. It's kind of how I like to think of it. And these are really good for air dribble bumps. Just getting it over a challenger, any opponent that's challenging us. You can even practice stuff like this, which I really love to do in my games because I don't know if you can tell, but when I'm in this position, I'm actually like blocking my vision, and getting some vision here is pretty key. So double jump, lean back, and feather this boost. You should be able to get really clean ground to air dribbles. More toward the center of your fire too. You don't want to boost this ball way too far. Okay. Now let's just start a wall to air dribble where we're feathering our boost and keeping the ball nice and close to us. I think that's the key with this drill. Only feathering the boost. I can't imagine with this drill I'm going to ever hold the boost. And we don't need to score here. Like, we're just getting a feel of that dedicated air roll practice where we were floating around the ball. And then we're combining it with ball touches that are underneath. Very on the very tip of the ball. Or, sorry, the very bottom tip of the ball is where we're going to get these soft touches. And it's going to be a threatening attack, especially to any opponent who is underneath us. They can't reach us, right? Any opponent who is on the near post, right? We can take the ball across their goal, which is harder to save. Any opponents who are even toward their outer corner, right? So if they are at the far post corner, it might take them a while to get over to this side of the net, and we can utilize very controlled and very smooth aerial takeoffs to just threaten their net. And most people will have to jump to block this. In fact, they're going to most of the time. But we can take 50-50s up in the air. We can do a lot of things. Push it over them, push it to the side. Okay. Alright, so here we have fast wall training, or power training. I should be starting on the left wall here. And what this drill is doing is teaching us how to touch extremely fast and hard to read balls off while jumping off the wall and retaining our flip, which is what this first shot is really good for. So we'll move on to the second shot. Here's a wall read. And we're just getting power, right? It's kind of like the aim training by Coco, except the ball's coming to us. It's not falling in front of us and we have to go to it. So ball's coming right to us. Strike through the center of the ball. Get very straight line through the middle of the ball. And very central. Right? So here I want to get above it. And strike down really hard. Let's do this one on the right side. Okay, we can linger. The ball's coming to us, remember? So we don't need to come or go to it. There's no rush. And off the right wall here, I'm using a right roll function, either with my arrow right or free roll, because I want to flatten my car like this, like how I would be on aim training by Coco, nice and flat, and do a diagonal dodge through the ball. If I were to roll the other way, I'm more upside down, and it's not gonna help with a lot of powerful touches, right? So that was aerial off wall with the power. And now let's train some of our delayed flips. Alright, so taking the ball off like this and flipping through the ball with delays is one of the best ways that pro players change the ball's direction in midair. And you can see how a play like this, which is combining kind of our hit the target drill from earlier, it's combining our off the wall takeoffs, our feathering of our boost, and our air dribble training to allow us to give the ball a nice burst of speed by delaying this flip here. So get up close to the edge of the ball and add a diagonal cancel. You don't want to get to the middle of the ball because you'll throw it away. These are very controlled plays, and they're quite difficult, but I would go watch players like Nupo in the Middle East. He's very good at this. You got players like Vatira who do these almost every aerial. Squishy, very, very good at these. So lift up the ball, remain close to it, and delay a flick. And you're going to add basically a direction change in midair, which is honestly one of the coolest things I've ever learned. Because I only thought ground plays were able to change their direction. Because in midair you only had about 1.5 seconds to use this flip, and back in the day, if I were to flip at this ball, it would kind of look like this, and I don't know how to control it. I'm just gonna fall to the floor. So really work on those diagonal cancels and delaying that flip. Okay, let's work on a few flip resets here. The goal here is to get the ball nice and high and meet it at its peak height. And the way I do that is I feather my boost, and we use our dedicated air roll training like we did earlier around the ball. There is not a lot of joystick movement until right about now, where I have to lean my car back. I'm pitching it. So at first I'm doing this motion, and then I'm laying it down toward the end. Nice and high. Feather the boost, right? So let's get a good one here. Nice high ball, and feather the boost. And you can delay or use your flip as fast as you want. It's up to you. Flip resets are very dynamic. Okay, here's 2 minutes of ceiling shot training. This is probably one of my favorite shots in the game, right? Like coming off the ceiling. The goal here is very precise setup touch. So this touch right here needs to be basically just under the ceiling. You don't want it to hit at the ceiling, obviously, but if you can get it just under, you should fall into a nice air dribble setup. And again, we're using dedicated air roll, just like the flip reset, except we're going above it, like this. But it's the same motion where we're dedicating air roll right, and then we're going to lean back and hit the ceiling. You'll see it's the same exact motion, but we're timing it with like a high, it's the same high pop, except we're launching our car off the wall. And you guys want to start jumping off the wall. You do not want to ride up the wall. Something like this is not going to be as efficient, because once you're up on the ceiling, it's hard for the game, it's hard for you as the player to like leave the ceiling. The gravity takes over, and you're not really going at the play or falling down soon enough. But when you reset off the ceiling, you can even tap power slide like I do. You kind of get a nice reflection or deflection off the ceiling. It's almost like you're pushing yourself off the ceiling because you're coming in with so much momentum. And the ceiling is so unique, it's the only wall in the game that does that. You can't do that on this wall because you just stick. See, like that? But the ceiling has the benefit of being able to ricochet yourself because gravity takes over. And it's just a nice way to set up dynamic aerial shots. Okay, so let's work on double taps here. I think the key for double taps that a lot of people don't pay attention to is this touch and how they're effectively getting the touch. Not only the direction that they're shooting in, so we know to shoot this ball toward the backboard like this, but how fast are we moving? So let's start back here on the basics. Try not to hold your boost and slam through this ball, because now me and the ball are disconnected, meaning I don't see how I'm going to follow it. But if I actually let go of my boost or feather more up toward the double tap, we're actually kind of in sync and we're going toward the same direction. So do not hold boost and touch the ball with as much of a cushioned touch as possible. I think that's going to be the best way to feel the touch. It's hard to explain these touches, but I'm really just feathering the boost and not holding it. And that's really helping me with setting up these double taps. So fast aerials, obviously, feather, feather, feather. And you can just hold it for a minute. So watch how I feather the boost, and I just kind of float in midair. I'm really not like actively trying to slam into the ball. Okay? The shot is threatening enough to where you don't have to put in extra effort to execute it better, right? The double tap itself is just a phenomenal tactic, and the defenses really can't stop it if they're out of position. Okay, so this is backboard defense. Make sure you train really hard clears and really soft catches, right? Controlled touches and the hard touches like this. Come in at an angle and pick a spot on the map that you want to shoot towards. So if you want to go toward the corner like that, that's fine. This one's probably one of the hardest touches. I'm not really sure if you're supposed to pre-jump this, but you can just skip this if you don't like it. Here, I'm just going to try and catch this ball. Sort of like that. And on the first shot, it's nice and slow, so I can show you. Now try and catch it above your goal, because if you catch it out centered, it's going to be a nice pass for your opponents, right? Okay, here I'm just going to flip it out. You can probably get on the other side of this like that and shoot to the left if you're fast enough, right? See if I can get one. There's a few. There's a touch. So this touch, very nice and very aggressive with your speed, right? But once you get up top, you can slow down if you really want to, and you can start catching the ball. Or you can flip it. You can go slow like this, and then faster once the ball gets closer, and take a controlled touch like this. And this kind of looks exactly similar to the aerial off-wall power shots that we were taking earlier. Okay, so now it's time for backboard offense. Reading reading the ball that is above the opponents and striking down is something that is a very big threat. Opponents will waste boost jumping off their backboards for these balls, and you will just be up sooner because of teamwork, passes, rebound, being able to read these rebounds. And you're much closer to the ball's trajectory, meaning it's coming towards you here and away from the opponents, making this one of the most threatening shots on the opponent's net. Okay, let's go to another shot here. You can feather your boost and take your time. Okay. And I'm not using dedicated air roll here like we did on our wall to aerials, which we set up ourselves. A wall to aerial self-pass is generally going right above you, right? Because you pop it from underneath the wall, or underneath the ball on the wall. But here we're training the no dedicated air roll kind of redirect movement that we had earlier, and just angling our car at the last second, making those tiny adjustments. Right, and make sure to feather your boost with a fast aerial. Fast aerial just gets you above the crossbar nice and quickly. But once you're above there, you gotta start feathering it. Otherwise, you're going to miss the ball by a mile. Okay, so on to our final drill, actually. We are going to go train pinches on the Olympics map here. I think pinches are very valuable because, again, it's a direction change. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. We go to training, and we go to pinches. Let's do the right, or actually we should have done the left side first, but that's fine. Make sure you're making contact with the ball's right side here. We're on the right wall. We want to pinch it to the left. And all I'm doing is using the underside of the front of my car to pinch the ball up like this, or right like this, or down and to the left like this. And you can see how changing directions in a rink game really fast can really be vital. If you have low boost in a situation like this, you can't really follow it with an air dribble, so jumping up and getting a pinch. And you don't need to boost through this. You almost want to land on the ball. If you get too high, ball's gonna fall down. If you jump too late, ball's gonna boost behind you, or pinch behind you rather. So just work on this timing. Right as it comes up the curve, you should be touching the right side of the ball. Okay, got about 20 seconds left here. You only need a single jump as well. No need to double jump here. Getting a lot of reps in, which is really nice. Okay, so let's pinch practice the other direction. Training pinch on the left side now. Now on the left side, it's the same thing except you're touching the left side of the ball, right? You're pinching it to the right. Just telling you what side of the ball you want to pinch or put pressure on from your car into the wall, right? So here, let's try a bottom left one. Bottom left usually go nice and high. Something like this. Or top left goes down like that. One of my favorite plays is to change the ball's direction, something like this. And you'll see pros like Cuxer was probably the most famous pinch player, but Moxie is really good at stuff like this. Even Zen, when he's up in the air and he carries the ball toward the wall, he gets really nice pinch passes to his teammates. So look out for those players that do this, and if you see them do it, I would watch more of their gameplay, and you're going to learn a lot about what pinches can do. Okay, so we got another 20 seconds here, and I think that's going to wrap up our training routine. And I'm really excited to share this with you guys because this is stuff that I have been doing for thousands of hours in Rocket League. A lot of my time is spent in the training mode because I used to be fed up with being the worst player in the lobby, and it really motivated me to make a difference in how I improved and how I was learning certain techniques, skills, mechanics, tactics in Rocket League. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. If you would like me to help you set up this exact training routine, message me on Discord and join our community, and I will happily share this with you. If you guys are looking for professional coaching where we improve your rank, then please reach out to me on Fiverr. I have coaching packages over there for everyone who wants to improve. So again, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you guys use this training as a way to steadily get more consistent and be the best player in your lobbies. Thank you very much.
Yeah.